Aquí se tiene el recuerdo del bautismo de San Juan Diego.
Una de las versiones que manejan es que los militares llegaron aquí y amagaron al sacerdote que estaba en turno.
Hey, have you ever walked through the Plaza de las Tres Culturas? Because if you do, you won't just see old stones, you'll see open wounds. You'll see resistance. You'll see silence, the kind that screams. And right there at the center, almost defying time itself, stands her, the Church of St. James the Apostle in Tlatelolco, a temple not built on soil, but on the rubble of pyramids and the bones of the defeated. It rises in the Tlatelolco archaeological zone, where the remains of the ancient Mexica ceremonial center still survive. A church you cannot understand without embracing the full story of Mexico. The church we see today began construction in 1535, ordered by Friar Juan de Torquemada, one of the most influential Franciscans of the time. The original structure was built by indigenous hands, colonial techniques, but with a Mexica soul. It's a literal fusion of cultures, corpses, and conquest. Even the interior walls show traces of an unusual mix: lime, sand, and bone dust, likely from animals, or perhaps from the fallen themselves. A metaphor? A symbol? A ritual? We may never know, but it's there. Its architectural style is plateresque with later Baroque additions. And though it has undergone many restorations, one thing remains constant: the dark volcanic stone that wraps around it, the same used in the Templo Mayor, as if the pre-Hispanic gods still press their hands against the walls from within. Next to the church stands El Colegio de la Santa Cruz de Tlatelolco, founded in 1536. It was the first institution of higher learning in the Americas, created to educate indigenous nobility in science, Latin, and theology. Here, indigenous youth studied music, traditional and European medicine, astronomy, and documented their knowledge in scientific and historical codices. This school was a bridge between two worlds: ancient Mesoamerican wisdom and European culture. Have you seen that facade? Don't be fooled by its modest appearance. This entrance, this black volcanic stone doorway, is far more powerful than it seems. That stone comes from the earth itself, from what was once volcano, from what was once water, from what was once empire. It's like one of those gazes from our elders. No need for many words, because their eyes are already telling you everything. The style is clear: primitive Baroque, a Baroque that's just beginning to learn how to speak Nahuatl. Now for the details. The facade is arranged into three well-proportioned vertical sections. On the first level, the large main door, made of sturdy wood, is crowned with a semicircular arch and flanked by Ionic columns, with capitals shaped into sober, elegant volutes, as if Greece itself had laid its foundations here in the heart of Mexica land. And what's on those columns? Carved flowers and vegetal motifs, not just decoration, but symbols of life and growth, as if nature itself were embracing this entrance. Above them, a relief of St. James the Apostle. And higher still, on the third level, almost touching the sky, another symbol: an eagle perched on a shield. Some believe it represents the Spanish Empire. Others say it's a disguised version of the Tlatelolco glyph. Either way, there it is, watching from above, as if guarding everything that happens within. If you look from afar, you'll see the whole facade framed by alfardas, those vertical finishes that give it strength and symmetry. They're not full towers, but they do look like arms, holding up the weight of centuries. And now, raise your gaze a little higher. There's the bell tower. It may look simple, but don't be deceived. That square body of dark stone with its open arches is like a petrified lighthouse, a lighthouse that doesn't guide ships, but consciences. And though it may seem silent today, it has never stopped speaking. Because this serious, old, solid bell tower has witnessed change, the clash of mestizaje, the pain, and the faith that remained despite it all. Right at the main entrance, there's a stone baptismal font carved in the shape of a shell. And according to documented tradition, this is where St. Juan Diego Cuauhtlacoatzin was baptized, the visionary indigenous man to whom the Virgin of Guadalupe appeared. That baptism, around 1524, represents the first formal Christianization of an indigenous person, one who would shape the faith of an entire continent. Picture it: Juan Diego, walking from Cuautitlan to Tlatelolco, receiving baptism in that very font.
aquí se tiene el recuerdo del bautismo de San Juan Diego, que es en la parte del ingreso. La cosa importante es, como en Tierra Santa, ¿no? Tener la memoria del bautismo de Juan Diego, y también que aquí, también en ese centro de evangelización, se bautizaron muchos que abrazaron la fe cristiana.
Bien, pues estamos en la pila bautismal, la cual la tradición nos indica que fue bautizado el indio San Juan Diego. Aquí tomó su catecismo. Aquí también el arzobispo Fray Juan de Zumárraga era el punto central para la educación. Sabemos que aquí a la vuelta, aquí al lado, tenemos el Colegio de la Santa Cruz, mismo que fue la primera universidad aquí en América, básicamente, y en el cual Juan Diego también tomó su catecismo y su doctrina, esa conversión ya al catolicismo, como bien sabemos. La piedra, nuestras autoridades del INA nos sugieren que posiblemente sea la que fue en donde fue bautizado. Es un poco difícil tener la certeza de saber este tipo de datos.
You walk in, and the first thing that captures you isn't just silence. It's what stands before you, towering, like a witness that never forgets. The main altar. Not what many imagine. It's made of volcanic stone, dark, solid. Stone that comes literally from beneath Mexican soil, as if all the Valley of Mexico's memory had condensed into one place. A Catholic altar, made from indigenous stone. A painful, forced convergence of two worlds. And here stands one of the oldest surviving colonial treasures in Mexico City. But there's something that hurts. To one side, the figure of St. James the Apostle, mounted on horseback, trampling indigenous people. Yes, just like that, as domination. Today, many find it disturbing. Others defend it as historical, but it's there, reminding us that spirituality too was imposed with a sword. And if you look up, above the altar rises a modest dome, small in size but deeply meaningful. It's coated in pale stucco, and if you look closely, it has no ornate decoration. It's almost bare, but that doesn't mean it's empty. The dome represents the sky. In Christian symbolism, standing beneath a dome is like being inside a spiritual womb, the house of God, the celestial vault. This dome doesn't aim to overwhelm. It encloses you in a kind of cosmic intimacy between stone and faith. And right at the corners that support the dome, you'll find 4 sculptures that are more than just art. They're floating symbols, nearly 400 years old. There, suspended in midair, are 4 figures made not from plaster, but from bone and clay, the 4 evangelists. But it's not just clay. There are human bones, bones within the clay that shaped this sacred scene. Imagine ancient remains transformed into religious icons.
Esta iglesia es también muy visitada por estas pechinas que se encuentran aquí en esta cúpula, ¿verdad? Con los ángeles, o sea, es decir, los 4 evangelistas que vienen presentados con estas figuras que se le dan del Apocalipsis.
Hallaron restos de huesos humanos.
When sunlight passes through the stained glass, it doesn't just illuminate the space, it transforms it. It bathes the altar, the pews, the stones in a glow that feels almost supernatural. At certain times of day, the red, blue, and orange light mix on the altarpiece like the final embers of a sacred fire. During the church's 1960s restoration, artist Matthias Goritz designed the stained glass windows in the apse. Their pointed arch shape and finely carved stone frames allow sunlight to pour in with intense color. The air feels heavier there. Some call it the church's energetic center, a place where even the stone seems to breathe, where conquest, faith, and silence all converge. Approaching the north door, your eyes are drawn upward to a colossal mural, a monumental depiction of St. Christopher. He's massive, nearly 8 meters tall, standing over an invisible river carrying the Christ child with a wooden staff and crossed sleeves. Look closely, his torso wears Spanish armor, but his legs, those are dressed like a Mexica warrior. It's a mestizo body, a body that unites 2 cultures with a single brushstroke. It's as if he's saying, this is the new world. Here, gods, languages, blood, and wounds converge, and you, like me, will carry that burden. Right across from it, the three eras: the Mexica ruins, the colonial church, and the 20th century buildings. A symbol, but also a scar. Because here in 1968, a massacre took place. In front of this church in the Plaza de las Tres Culturas, the October 2nd massacre happened. Thousands of students gathered. The repression was brutal. And it's said, listen closely, that the church didn't open its doors to the wounded. Some testimonies claim priests were ordered not to intervene. Others say help was offered in secret. What's certain is that the church was marked by it. Some see it now with reverence, others with bitterness. Because in Tlatelolco, history isn't just written, it bleeds.
Una de las versiones que manejan es que los militares llegaron aquí y amagaron al sacerdote que estaba en turno, lo cual no permitió el acceso porque cerraron todo. Tiene un poco de sentido porque hay algunas fotografías donde los paracaidistas, los militares, se ven en la cúpula de la parroquia. Incluso también algunos hermanos dicen que hay indicios de balas en el altar. Ajá. Y otra de las versiones es que simple y llanamente no había nadie.
They say buildings have souls, and that temples, when they shake, cry from within. Here in Tlatelolco, the earth has cried many times. In 1985, it roared. September 19th, 1985, 7:19 a.m., an 8.1 magnitude earthquake left deep scars in the Valley of Mexico. Tlatelolco was the emotional epicenter. The Nuevo León building collapsed. Hundreds died. Dust covered everything. The Church of Santiago didn't fall, but it was damaged. Deep cracks opened in the main dome. Stones fell from the facade. People feared it would collapse, but it stood its ground, as if it refused to fall where so much had already fallen. Exactly 32 years later, another quake, this time 7.1, struck the city. The date's repetition was chilling, a moment engraved forever in Mexico's memory. Once again, Tlatelolco felt the fear. Newer buildings resisted better, but the Church of Santiago showed fresh damage. Cracks in its tower, internal wall fissures. An INAX report confirmed minor but accumulating structural damage, signs that restoration was needed.
El campanario que sufrió unos daños exagerados.
Esos daños a causa
del sismo del 2017. Se cayó el campanario.
Y en el año ha puesto.
Nos ayudó con el techo y la cuestión de las cúpulas, pero como bien saben y como se ve, es una parroquia grandísima, son presupuestos exorbitantes, ya nos han atendido, pero no, tenemos el registro más o menos que son 200 parroquias afectadas. La cúpula central está muy dañada, muy dañada. Incluso en el 2017 la Eucaristía se celebraba a la mitad de la parroquia, porque toda de la mitad para atrás todo estaba apuntalado y lleno de andamios por los daños exagerados.
The White Dancer, the soul that never left. At 2 a.m., when all seems still, a figure is said to appear from the temple. A young man dressed in pure white, as if wrapped in light itself. He walks steadily, yet lightly. He crosses the Plaza de las Tres Culturas, turns into the atrium, and begins to dance. A solitary, hypnotic dance that seems to defy time and space. Who is this figure? People believe he's the spirit of a student who died in the 1968 massacre, caught between two worlds, doomed to repeat his last ritual again and again. Inside the church, when all is calm, faint whispers can be heard, voices that don't belong to this time. Shadows on the walls seem to move, their voices, souls, living memories that defy time and silence. There are no cameras, no proof, only the collective memory that refuses to forget.
Nada más se dice la presencia de un fraile, se dice, y lo han visto, algunas personas han visto sus guarachitos, otras personas han visto la silueta, incluso es algo peculiar, las escaleras que dan hacia las cúpulas y el coro, son de caracol, son normal, pero hay personas que se han caído y han sentido como en el pie, como si lo agarraran, porque uno va ahí bien confiado, no pasa nada, pero pues digo, y sí, o sea, sí ha habido unas hermanitas que pues, sí, se han caído, pero sienten, y el fraile lo han visto aquí atrás,
y al fin y al cabo decimos, pues la verdad, pues quién sabe, pero si sí es, pues no nos sorprendería.
Tlatelolco is not just a plaza or a church or a ruin. It's a heart beating across the centuries, the wound that won't close, the faith that refuses to die, the stone that still speaks. Here, everything lives together. Broken codices, bullets that silenced voices, domes that still look up at the sky. A place where the soul of an empire came face to face with the cross. And where even now, among glowing stained glass and trembling walls, we ask ourselves, have we truly understood everything? Or does this place still have secrets to whisper in our dreams? And if you, like me, can't look at this church without feeling a chill, if you felt what we felt, subscribe to Cúpulas y Sueños. We're still uncovering the secrets Mexico holds in its temples. Share this video and tell us in the comments, what did you feel when you discovered the Church of Santiago Tlatelolco?